Hi. Many of the things I have introduced in this video and talked about are things which are quite obvious for many. Those are things which are only of value to people like me who haven't learned this at an early age, or better yet, were told this by their parents. And the topic of today is realizing that you're not the most important thing in the moment. That is, you have needy people, you have annoying people, you have people who are spoiled, who are of the opinion that they deserve all the attention of the world and that nobody's allowed to not to answer them for more than, let's say, one day. Now, it's easy to understand this, I think. Everybody only wants to communicate with people who are quality, who are nice, and who are generous with their time, and who are definitely respectful to their peers. The problem is, it's all circumstantial. It's not possible to just take one formula and apply it to all daily circumstances. People are in different moods, people have other things going on, people have many things going on in their lives. And it's very unfair to say that just because somebody has time in the moment, the other person is required to reciprocate the time offering and be able to make an appointment with them. So I think it's a matter of perspective and spoiledness, if you will. So if it's a perspective where you are the one who's being asked by another person whether you have time, you will basically look at it from your selfish point of view. I mean, I don't mean this in any bad way, but I think every person is inherently selfish. I think there's even some research corroborating this. But basically, people, when in stress, under pressure, if there's any risk of material loss, so status loss, or anything of the sort, people think selfishly. They don't want to care for other people. Maybe mothers care for their sons or so, or daughters, obviously. But the nature's instinct is to survive and to save yourself and don't give a care about anybody else. So in the moment where somebody asks you for your time and you have other things going on which you would prefer finishing than meeting them, especially when they popped up out of nowhere, it's definitely understandable for you that you would prefer not to meet that person just because he wrote to you. And at the same time, people have the right to do this. It's perfectly legal in this day and age. We are not restricted by some social customs, or perhaps in certain cultures we are, that wherever any person higher up in the family hierarchy talks to you, you have to respect them with your full ear. Sure, that could be the case. This is the point of view when somebody sort of bothers you and it comes to you for something. From the other perspective, if you are the one asking somebody else, the same situation, the very same situation might appear completely differently. It all depends on your mood, really. I mean, are you insecure? Are you happy? Are you really interested in meeting that person? If it's a girl you like or so. Those are all factors that play into coloring your view, which is always biased. And certainly if you're a person of great capacity, then you obviously accommodate everything, but that's not the point, really. The point I'm trying to make here is that the same situation happens here, but from the point of view of the person who's asking somebody else for their time and being refused by that person. Maybe they genuinely don't have time, or they really don't want to talk to this person. Maybe they talked to you for the past week and they just need a break from you. You know, it could all mean very well, but this is just how life is. Sometimes people have only certain capacity which they can accommodate you in, beyond which you just can't transcend. And it's something which I have to keep in mind because it's not natural for me. Sometimes when I talk to somebody, I really want to talk to them, but they have no time for me. I always assume that this person doesn't like me. This person really wants to stop being friends with me. This person, whatever. You know, it's basically something of the sort. But it's not the case, but my heart still feels like that. And the only thing I'm trying to do is to manage it. And I think this is a token of information, which I would say people without any problems don't even have to consider. But people like me, and I'm sure there are many, I know several people who would definitely benefit from this, but of realizing that just because they feel that they need to talk to somebody and the other person doesn't have time, doesn't make the other person necessarily their sworn enemy. I've met people like this, I know they exist, so I think it's valuable. Now, also there are people who try to sort of shame you into talking to them, which is something very evil. I've never done this before, not to my knowledge at least. But there are people who really try to shame you into talking to them, saying, okay, unless you reply to me within 24 hours, I never want to talk to you again. And if this is a person with whom you used to have a relationship before, then basically there's a human instinct at play here telling you that you don't want to lose this person, so let's just do whatever it takes to retain this relationship. But I think needn't say that this is a toxic relationship. If the other person tries to force you into retaining the relationship or sort of doing whatever they want just because they feel like it at will, then whatever relationship it is, it's a toxic one. And if somebody like this tries to shame you into doing something for them, I think the only good way to deal with this sort of person is to forget them completely. But what's interesting here, or what's more important, I would say, is that the same situation could be in reverse, and from that point of view, it wouldn't seem as such. So, unbeknownstly to you, you might actually be bothering somebody else, or even emotionally blackmailing, without realizing. And this is something which I think is very important to realize, or to at least consider whenever dealing with any person with whom I would say there's a discrepancy in what I want to do and what they want to do. Whether what I do could in some crazy way be potentially interpreted as emotionally unsound. Like, blackmailing, saying, okay, I really want to do this. If you have no time, no problem. I'll just find somebody else. These sort of words. And I try not to do these things, but I think it's an important bit of information for many others, because many people do this, and I don't think they would do this if they realized how unethical this is. So, this was a random video of sorts, only a small bit of information I wanted to share. I think it's important whenever you have an idea and you have YouTube to store your crap, then you can just put it out on there, and maybe someday you can come back to it 2 years later, see how you were 2 years ago. So, if you're listening, thanks, whatever, bye.